how much I can see us.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to finally be joining Lisa and Curtis again. I'm pretty sure that it's Lisa today, which I'm thrilled for that. This
No,
is
we're both here.
Oh, hi, Curtis. They've been traveling, and so I'm real excited to have them back with us. We're going to be talking about Super Saturday. We've had some pretty exciting things as a team. This last week we had our convention, which was fantastic, and so I think today's training is going to be the perfect follow-up for convention and be able to just kind of shoot everybody off into the excitement and give them a little bit more tools and just kind of a little bit more direction. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, if you don't know who Lisa Grossmann and Curtis Broom are, they are...
Wait 1 second, because people were there and sometimes they need to refresh. If you can see us over in the question, and I've opened up the questions app, and I'm seeing comments that people are saying they're not seeing us. There's a little bit of a delay. Please let us know if you can see us.
Yeah, those may be old comments. We just want to make sure.
No, one of them just popped up. That's not going to go. It said they're having technical difficulties. Stay tuned.
Oh, that's Mark letting them know.
If you can see us, also, can you have Mark tell them that if they can't see us, they need to refresh the page. You just need to refresh the page.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
But for those who are here and watching, if you can see us,
please let us know on the Q&A app.
Yeah, let us know on the Q&A.
Okay. No, here's a new one. Everyone getting it now.
Mark, yeah.
Okay. If they're not, they just need to refresh.
Yeah, it looks like there's a delay, so...
There always is a delay. I just want to make sure that they've refreshed their page. Okay, sorry for that interruption, but I just want to make sure that everybody gets the information. Let's go.
All right, so as I was saying, Lisa Grossmann and Curtis Broom are they're multi-million-dollar earners in network marketing. They're a couple that travel and share their expertise and do training with other teams in the industry itself. And they've been in the industry for many, many years, and we're just blessed, and I just feel like I don't even know what the word is. So I'm thrilled that you guys have chosen us and taken the time to train us and give us some of your expertise. So with that, I'll let you guys take it away.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I know we said we were going to talk about Super Saturdays, but what we're really going to talk about is the local events, of which the major one, of course, is the Super Saturday. And have we ever taught meetings before here?
Romy, did we go through the actual outline of a local meeting? I mean, the concept and the psychology of the local meeting, and how local meetings feed into Super Saturday?
We did a little bit last time. You went over like the importance of all of the events. I don't know that we necessarily went into exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, did we diagram it out? If not, then that can be part of it.
Nope, we didn't do that.
Only so much more. Okay, folks, I want to talk about events. You know, everybody, let's regress. Network marketing is about marketing to your network and building a community of consumers. And what really makes that work, what draws people to it, is the connection. You know, everybody always wants to know what to do. And we spend hours teaching people how to do this and how to do that. And that's important information, but it's not rocket science, and it's accessible everywhere. You know, there's for free. So the question is not what to do or how to find out what to do, it's why do so few people do it. And the people that have great success in network marketing realize that your will trumps your skills. Skills are important, and you develop those as you move along in time, but the quickest way to learn skills and to duplicate is through the people getting together. You know, anytime somebody tells me you don't have to go to meetings, two things run through my head. One is that's not a bonus. Staying at home and trying to build a business by yourself on a computer screen in a world that has gotten so high tech and everybody is lonely and wants to belong to something is not a good thing. And secondly, it's not true, because this is a people business, and the majority of people don't even understand that in fact it's a business, and they certainly have never been in business by themselves, the majority of them, and it's certainly a part-time space. And without something to plug into, something to be constantly connected to, something that they can relate to, they're not going to have great success. The reason that local meetings and weekly meetings are so important, I equate it to church or synagogue or mosque, and I'm not being disrespectful to faith, but why do they have meetings every Sunday? There's not a lot of new information that comes out, from heaven every week. And yet people go every week and they hear the same thing over and over and over and over again. But is that the reason they really go? Those that are filled with faith and know that they know don't need it. But they still need to connect with other people. People need to be around other people. They need to feel like, I'm okay. It's not just me. Everybody thinks this way too. So the local meeting is the foundation of a business. Now, do I believe you can do them online if you don't have a meeting going on in your area? Do I believe in Hangouts? Obviously, I'm on one. But I think that everything is designed to go to the next step of people connecting to people. For example, you just had a major event. And the big events are the most important. That's where the real light bulb goes on. That's where the vision gets expanded. But getting somebody to go from sitting in their home to a major event probably doesn't happen. Each step along the way connects people more, gives them something to plug into, gives a new person a mechanism where all they have to do is get people there to have someone else tell the story versus feeling like they have to do it themselves. And it's a constant vision expanding experience, because it's where they hear the stories, which are the most important thing, and Curtis is going to talk a little bit about that when he talks about the format of the meeting. It is where they see how the meeting is done over and over and over again. If it's once a month, nobody's going to even remember to go, but if they did, they're not seeing it often enough to learn it, because we learn by watching, we learn by immersion, we learn by being involved, much more than we ever learn by being told. There's nothing like doing and teaching others to embed that within you. So, but most importantly, with a weekly meeting, is you get to start to participate in the meeting. And it gets people out of the spectator position and in the game. However small, maybe it's with doing a testimonial, maybe it's doing the product portion of the meeting.
Being part of the registration.
Being part of the working team. At the registration desk, turning the lights on and off, but being an active participant in the community instead of a spectator who signed up in something that they don't understand. So actually, we were going to talk about Super Saturdays. I think we'll start with the local meeting, because that's also, because every Super Saturday includes one, and there's a reason for that. And then we can touch on Super Saturdays and regionals later on. So we've talked a lot about 3 questions that we go out and ask. Are you happy? Do you have a plan? Would you like to see one? We've talked about be interested, not interesting. We've talked about your hot market, and which is the most forgiving network out of the 3 networks, hot, warm, and cold, that we operate in. Now we're going to flip gears, and we're going to talk about the person that is looking at us that's not in the community yet. Not how you go get that person or how that we do that, but where they're sitting when the phone rings, and how that all plays into and why meetings and that structure are so important. Because they have 3 questions too. And I'm going to turn.
Say you would want to just talk about 3 questions while I get the board. Yeah.
Okay.
Because by the way, those 3 questions exist whether you're talking to somebody on the phone, whether you're speaking at Starbucks, or you're at a local meeting.
Everybody who's new, that's looking at network marketing for the first time, and by the way, that starts the first time you mention your product or you call them or whatever you do, first time. They have 3 questions too. And the first one, of course, is it real? And the second one is, can I do it?
That's the third
one.
What's in it?
No, I'm sorry. The second one is, what's in it for me? And the third one is, can I do it? And here's what happens. And this is where the first paradigm shift, because now we're going to talk about how to lead. We talk about a lot of things that tell you what to do, and that's how to build your business. But the next step of evolution, once you get to your list, and once you are actually contacting, inviting people, sharing the product, sharing your story, is how to lead. And the first question, of course, is one of the challenges that we have in network marketing when we first get involved is we think that we have to get people in front of the information. It has to be so well done, or we put them in front of these fantastic speakers, and the bigger and more successful a company is, the more likely that the people on stage are going to have better and better stories of accomplishment. And there is a plus to that, but there's also a danger to it, because it does an excellent job of answering the first question, is it real? Well, I can sit and tell you all the facts about network marketing, how it's grown in the last 10 years, all the people that are having success with it, and people go, okay, it's real. That answers that. And then we show them comp plans and circles that they really don't understand, and we talk about products that they really don't really understand. But through that process, they get a glimmer of, okay, people are having good results with these products, they work, and I see people are making money, so there is something in it for me, kind of. So the first two are easily answered by the facts. And facts are not important for you to learn or be articulate in conveying, because facts are accessible everywhere. Websites, videos, other people talking, audios. The facts do a good job of the first two. But the third, can I do it, is the most important question that people ask, and it's the guidepost for everything you do in network marketing. Every single thing you teach, every single thing that you convey, people are always asking the question, can I do it? And if the answer is no, what often happens is, because the information about the company and the product and the industries was delivered in such a compelling way, perhaps because they saw such amazing speakers on the stage talking about their success, they will sign up and they will buy product. But then when they get home and they get away from the meeting, which is one of the reasons we do this stuff so consistently, they get away from the group, they start to think, that guy on stage, he went to college and he had this big career in traditional business, and of course he's successful, of course he can do it, but I can't do what he does. And when that happens, they get immobilized. And that's why so many people, in their enthusiasm for how real it is, and the belief that there's something in it for them, when they first see how the comp plan works, it's a new thing for people, how the products are moved. They think about all the people that they know that they haven't really thought about having to talk to. They get all excited, and they say, okay, and then very quickly thereafter they say, but I can't do it. They can do it, but I can't do it. So when you answer that question properly, by everything you do in design, everything we do is by design, you have a different result. And the way that that's done is through stories. The most important thing is always stories. And when we get to weekly meetings, there's a method to the madness and a way to do them. A lot of people go to meetings where one person does the whole meeting, and it's usually the most successful person in the room. And I want you to think about that. What if that person's story, because it's the only one they hear, doesn't resonate with somebody in the audience? What if you've got a successful, sales type of guy who's always done great in everything he's ever touched at the front of the room, and you've got 17 housewives in the audience who have never done anything? What's going to happen when they get to the can I do it? Are they looking at this person going, oh, well, if he can do it, I can do it? Probably not. And even if you have a brand new person doing it, whose success is relatively recent, what are the chances that if people see one person, they're going to be able to be engaged for 45 minutes, number one, and two, that they're going to relate to that person? Because they have to be able to look at somebody and say, if they can do it, I can do it, for this whole thing to work. And if one person tells a story only, there's a very little chance that everybody in the audience is going to relate to them, even if they're that everyman type of person.
I mean, if you got in the audience like a typical audience, I've got a truck driver, I've got a corporate executive, I've got a retiree, and I've got a single mom. You think one person's they're all four going to relate to the one person? It's not going to happen.
And that is, so everything is a method to the madness. So Curtis is going to go through how the information is presented normally, and how that translates into meetings, because the process is the same no matter how it's being done, whether it's audio, video, but it's in live meetings that opportunities exist to embed people and to get people to go from the outside to actually becoming a part of the community, that I'm not going to say are unavailable in other mediums, but it's not as simple and it's not as effective. There's nothing in your arsenal like people getting together and connecting live, especially in today's hustle bustle of the world. So I'm going to get out of the picture so Curtis can draw and let him go through some of this for you. Oh, did I knock it over?
No. There you go. And
don't you know how real this is? You almost got to see me knock over the whiteboard, but today I didn't. But stay tuned. One day you will.
Oh, trust and believe. Lisa's knocked over a bunch of times, which means that if she can do it, you can do it too. See, we do all of this for a purpose. It's can I do it? See, we're answering that question. Let me do this. Let me tilt this up just a wee bit. Okay. One of the other reasons we want to talk about the local meeting for a second, we're going to talk about the psychology. If you'll go back and review this, we're actually talking to you about the psychology of how you should do everything you do. If you understand local meeting presentation psychology, which has been in existence in our profession forever, the giants and the titans, the Amways and the Avons and the Nuskins and the Herbalifes, and the biggest of the biggest of the biggest, you know, the Tinshis out of China and Tins and some of the giant, I mean, wherever they are, these companies started decades ago. The only option they had, they didn't have hangouts, conference calls, webinars, they didn't have, you know, whatever else it was. They lived and breathed with meetings. There's a psychology that if you were going to sit down with someone, if you understand what we're about to show you, once you embed it, even if you're one-on-one with someone on a webinar, you'll reevaluate how you present everything you present every time you present it. If you have a little bitty flip chart presentation that you're going to do with somebody at Starbucks, if you understand the local meeting theory, it will change your entire perspective of how you do what you do, and it will lead to greater success, because the reality is human nature is human nature. We are who we are, and we aren't here to change it. We're here to work within it and align with it so we multiply success. So here's what network marketing really is. I went up a little bit high. You don't need to see my face. You need to see the board. Network marketing is leadership development. Okay? That's the purpose. We are in the leader. Let me bend this down a little bit. We're in the leader development. Lisa's got one of these little manual adjustment cameras. Okay, we're in the leader development business. One of the reasons we mentioned, one of the reasons you want to have local meetings, we are a teamwork business. We build teams, and we build teams that are in the leadership development business from the business side. In total, we are about building a global network of consumers, some of whom are customer consumers, some are distributor consumers, but they're consumers. But from the distributor purely standpoint, the business standpoint, we are in a teamwork business of leadership development. And the way you do that is you got to start, you know, babies, we're all parents. You don't teach a 3-year-old how to be a 22-year-old getting out of college. You teach a 3-year-old how to be a 3-year-old, so you can teach a 4-year-old how to be a 4-year-old, but you're teaching them how to be a 3-year-old properly because you know they're going to be an adult, and you know they're going to be a parent one day. So how do we leader develop? You know, in a meeting, we start at the registration table. Here, will you be a part of the team and help us at the registration table? Why do we have a registration table? Well, so there's a sheet where the guests sign in, and there's a sheet where the distributors sign in. Why? Because there are name tags, and the guest name tags have blue around the edges, and the team member name tags have red. Why? So the person at the front of the room can look out, and I don't put their whole name, I put their first name, and I write it really, really, really big in real thick magic marker, and I actually teach a registration person how to do that. Why? So when I'm sitting at the front of the room and I may not have great vision, I can read that person's name's Bob, and because it's got blue around it, I know Bob's a guest without having to say, so here's a guest? Great. What's your name? I can just say, hey, Bob, listen, thanks for coming tonight. Let me ask you a question. So I can engage Bob in the conversation. I can engage a team member in the conversation. So somebody can start being a part of the team by simply being part of the registration table. Somebody can be a part of the team. Come on down, help us set up. Make sure the chairs are set. Make sure the music's ready to go, the lights. Why? It's a part of being, hey, welcome to your role is critical for the success of the team. So one day, as they lead, they have new people. They're teaching how to be part of the registration and part of the room setup group. Why? It's the beginning participation. If I didn't have a local meeting and somebody's sitting at their home thinking they build their whole business online, they're never going to understand that it's not just them and the one person they're talking to. It's how to be a member of a team. So let me show you local meeting psychology in the process. As Lisa said, if for someone to make a decision to want to be a part of what we do, there are two processes that take place. There is an emotional, you know, an E actually has 4 legs on it, I just realized. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's only got 3. Let's do that. Okay. There's an emotional line, an emotional process they have to go through, and there is an informational process they have to go through. Why? Lisa said there are 3 questions. Is it real? Okay. 2, what is for me? And 3, can I do this? Okay? So I've got to answer those 3 questions. That's the informational activity during a meeting is what drives question 1 and 2. As Lisa said, those are facts. You can read the PowerPoint slide. Question number 3, can I do that? You can't keep telling somebody that they can do it. They understand, they answer that for themselves based upon the number of stories that they hear in the meeting. So stories drive emotional growth, facts drive informational growth. But here's the real key. It takes no skill or talent whatsoever to do information delivery. Well, certain of the information of the meeting, you do want the best available person. They don't have to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, just of all the people available to participate in sharing the meeting information from the front. The best one does part of it, but much of the information brand new people could do. Why? It's a part of leadership development. They've been on the registration table for a couple of months. They've set up the room for a month, set up the room for a month, and we're going to let them start being at the front of the room in a way that doesn't scare them, doesn't terrify them. It's fun. They can laugh. We can laugh. Everybody has fun because it's their first experience at the front of the room. When they're done the first time, they go, wow, I didn't die. Nobody did shoot me. They didn't throw tomatoes and lettuce at me. Okay, this is really cool. I like this. Because it's this process. We have to take people from right here at that neutral point where they start. If they don't end up here, they're not going to be interested in doing what we do. They're not going to want to enroll. And we've got to get them from here to there. So here's a meeting process. If you were going to have the perfect local meeting, there would be 4 people directing it from the front of the room. 3 of whom can be brand new. I mean, really, really new. The first one could be in the business for a week. But the minute you met them, they have the most bubbly, outgoing, explosive personality, and you go, have I got a good job for you? Because they can't mess it up, and they're going to have a good time. But there are 4 people, okay? What they are is they're the host, and then speaker 1, speaker 2, and speaker 3. There are 4 roles. Now, if you're in a smaller community, you're just getting started, I'm going to show you a perfect 4-person meeting. Well, there's only 2 of us. Well, then I guess the 2 of you split the 4 roles. But if you understand the 4 roles, then it'll be great. There's only me. Well, okay. Then at this time, for the last time in history, you'll be the only person doing it. But you're only doing it until a few people join you, then you immediately start assigning tasks. I know you're brand new. Trust me, you're now the host. Why? Because anybody can do that. And you're also going to be speaker number 1 because you just need to read the first 4 slides, get out of the way, and I'll take over. So keep in mind, I'm going to show you the perfect meeting. You can combine this as you need to as you get things going in your local area. Okay, so here's what happens. When the meeting starts, here's how it breaks down. Here's area 1, that's the host. Here's area 2, that's speaker 2, or what we call speaker 1. It's the second person, but it's really the first presentation speaker. There's speaker 1. Here's the next area, that's going to be speaker 2. And here's the last area, that's going to be speaker 3. And then speaker 3 is going to take it all the way out to the close. Then, in fact, there's an additional break, and then there's actually a bonus section we'll talk about in a second. Speaker 3 goes all the way. Okay. Now, here's what here's how I want to draw this out for you. Here's what the host does. The host has a couple of very simple functions. Number 1, they have some announcements that they need to get out of the way. They welcome people. The host's only job is to be pleasant, smiling, happy, and friendly. That's it. Even if they're a little nervous, that's okay. They just want to be happy and friendly, and they're going to mention to people 2 things because it gave them a reason to be there. They're going to mention to people, please pull your phone out, take a look at this magic new capability that's been added to every cellular phone. Some of them even virtually have been added. If you'll look at it, please hit the silent button or the turn off to vibrate button or turn off button, because you don't want to distract people. Second, they're going to ask people, and in addition, if you'll please hold your questions till the end. Generally, all of them get answered during the meeting, but for respecting your time and everyone's time, if you'll hold them to the end, any remaining few questions you might still have, we will certainly stay until we get them all answered. Thank you so much. Okay, that is the host's job. Number 2, the host tells their story. Okay? some people also call it an ID, their identification, so that people can identify with. This is the entire purpose for having a host. This is just getting some stuff out of the way so people think it makes sense they stood up. That's their whole reason for existence. Why? This is story number one, and here's what's going to happen. You're going to notice information takes them this way, emotion takes them this way. When the host tells their story, the emotion starts to rise. That's the host's purpose. Second thing, because people can relate to it, but not everybody in the room can relate to one person. So the host is very quick. The host's whole role is maybe 3 minutes, a minute, 45 seconds of announcements. Turn off your phone, hold your questions. Let me tell you why I'm so excited to be here and how I got to be here. Let me tell my story very quickly. We'll talk about storytelling later. Then the third thing they do, they intro speaker one. Now, let me tell you how you introduce the speaker. You do not tell their story, because they tell their story. What you do is you say, now it's my pleasure to kick off the meeting and bring up our first speaker of the evening for you. And by the way, you save their name to last. Don't ever say their name until that's the last thing you say as everybody applauds and they come up. So you say, you know, we're so excited to have her. She's actually a newer member of the team. Yet in just the last couple of months since she's been here, she's done just a great job understanding and having great initial success, and she loves sharing her successes with people and helping them succeed. Please welcome to the front of the room, Ms. Romy Clark. Boom. Everybody applauds, screams, stands on their feet, you know, whatever. Just everybody applauds nicely. But the last thing you say is please welcome. It's just the same way they bring people out on stage at award shows. Please welcome to the stage. Boom. Romy comes out. Okay, there's speaker one. Now speaker one is there. Okay. Anything nice. You can say anything nice about them. Even if they're brand new. They've just had some great success gathering some initial consumers, and they've got a few new team members, but they just love sharing with people, and we're glad to have them. Boom. So the first thing that speaker one does, I can't hear you, but what do you think it is? Yes, they tell their story. The biggest, most magnificent, powerful part of the meeting is there is now a second person's identification. What happens is instantly the emotion is rising because people are saying, well, I can relate to that. Wow, so because part of your story is this. We'll do this. I'm not even sure if we've done this one before. If we've not, we will. There's actually a story structure. It's your name, where you're from, what you do or what you did, what was your frustration, and what are the 4 things you love most about doTERRA. You know, hi, my name's Curtis Broom from Dallas, Texas. You know, I used to be a real estate broker, but I found that even though I was able to earn a great amount of money, I had to constantly rebuild my business every day. Because with every transaction, I may have made good money, but there was no residual. So I never had time with my family. That was my greatest frustration, and since I've been a part of doTERRA, here are the 4 things that have happened. Over the last 6 months, I've been able to boom, 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 boom. The most important of which is the last one, save the biggest, whatever it is, and I just see a future where I'm going to be able to take care of my parents and give my kids a destiny they deserve. The 4 things you mention in a story are never money. I don't care if you're making $80 million, you never mention money. It's the 4 things that have happened to you, because you can't eat, sleep, or drink money. It's what it does for you anyway. What happens is when people hear these stories, and we'll do a separate storytelling thing, but if you want to go back and review that, it's really simple. A whole story should be done in 60 to 90 seconds. I mean, it just can't take longer. If you have anybody telling their story longer than 90 seconds, be like a football game, throw a big bucket of cold water on them and cheer for them and get them out of the way, because otherwise they're killing everybody. So what's happened is we are already, there's story 1, we're already at story 2, and we're literally just a few minutes into the meeting. Now, what happens is the next thing speaker 2 does, they start addressing, is it real? They start covering that initial part that we all cover in a meeting, and that is the industry in the profession of network marketing and the company story. Okay? So that's what happens. That's flatline. Nobody's getting excited here, but they're doing the industry and they're doing the company. And that's speaker 1's role. When they're done with the industry and company, people are beginning to say, okay, this makes sense. You know, network marketing in 2003 was $80 billion worldwide. In 2013, it was $180 billion. It went from 40 million participants back then to almost 100 million participants during one of those difficult decades in the history of global economic, circumstances. One of the worst ones in history. The profession doubled 2.5 times. And here's our company, and here's our company statistics. I don't need to prove it to you. I don't even need to. I just need to state it, and it's obvious. So now they're beginning to get question number 1 answered. Is it real? Check, I've done that. Next thing they do, and by the way, this is why a very new person can do this, they're reading facts. Click the slide. There it is. If you need to, now don't just read a slide. That's kind of silly. What do? Grab a 3x5 card. I really don't care. Grab a 3x5 card. Start, the greatest thing you can do is tell your story. Tell your story and say, now, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is only the second time I've done this, and I'm so excited to share this information, but I'm a little nervous, so if you'll just bear with me, I just brought notes because I just want you to get all the right information. You'll melt their heart, they fall in love with you, and teach your new people that that's the way it is. This is about people connecting with people. Nobody has to be the perfect presenter, and they don't have to be Zig Ziglar. One day they will. Zig sucked one day at 1.2 when he was very young, so let's just all know that. So then they can grab the little 3x5 card and they can just say, in our profession, just in the last, so they're just getting it out there. Then they intro speaker 2, okay? Speaker 2, well, guess what speaker 2 does first? Yep, you guys are getting it. They tell their story, their identification with the audience. Now, again, we are probably literally 6 minutes into the meeting at most, 6-7 minutes into the meeting, and already they're hearing their third story, and the emotion is moving up. They've got 3 different totally diverse people, and they're beginning to, what's happening is they're not only starting to say, can I do this, they're starting to say, wow, it seems that everybody does this, because you're intentionally picking people with complete and total diversity. You don't have the same person who's the best person doing the meeting the whole meeting, killing people and boring them in the same week after week. You get 3 new people all the time. The only person that might be consistent might be speaker 3 because you need the best available to do that, but you want to start creating best availables as fast as possible. So here's what they do. They do products. Why? Again, it's facts. Here's our products. Here's what they do. Here's how it works, etc. Okay? Now, here's what other thing they do. Let me see if I can tilt this just a little bit because there's a little bit of glare at the bottom. Okay. They do products. Here's what happens. Products, that's flat and boring. But here's where it gets interesting. They just do the products. As soon as they're done with the product information, while they are standing right there, because here's the psychology of a meeting. You've got all the people sitting, watching, and the person standing up presenting. It almost creates this unfortunate but natural separation. Me and you. Me and you, we're not the same. You guys are sitting, I'm standing, so we're obviously not the same. What you do is your product testimonials are people sitting in the audience who you call on, who just stand up right there. It's 30 seconds and sit down right there. And it's bam, bam, 20, 30 seconds at most. Hi, Mark, if you could just share with people a little bit of your experience. I know you've been using some of the products for about 4 or 5 months now. Boom. Mark just stands up right there. He says, yeah, hi, my name's Mark Clark, and it's a pleasure to be able to spend this time with you. 6 months ago, here was the situation I faced. I love all the products, but the 2 in particular were this and this, and here's what's happened. It's allowed me to sleep better. I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. I've literally never felt better in the last 20 years. Boom, sit down. It is not a dissertation. It is a quick, fast up and down. And I intentionally pick 4 or 5 people who are in different parts of the room. And by the way, yes, you should let them know before the meeting. By the way, I'll probably just call on you for a product testimonial. This is teamwork. Everybody's already been taught, here's how you do a product testimonial for a meeting. It's 20, 30 seconds. Don't talk about your dog's new play toy. Just get to it. Because here's what's happening. I want to be able to, in 2.5 minutes, go boom, 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 boom. So the guests are going, oh. And people, yeah, they do. They always it gets motion. Their body doesn't get stuck in a chair. They turn around. They look at the person in the back room. And, oh, they whip around over here. Oh, they look over there. What's psychologically happening? They're sitting down in the chair, and it's been all of us and you, and now they're like, wow, part of people like me. These are my teammates. Wow, my folks out here with me. They're standing up. Listen to the great things they're saying. It creates a more powerful emotional connection for them to how this product is now, what's in it for me, this product's going to change my life, because the guy at the front, he tells what he did, but so what, that's him, this is us, oh my gosh, people like me are doing this. It's a psychological thing. So you always have the product, first of all, it's efficient, it's quick, it's fast. You can have 4, 5, 6 if they're really quick and fast, and in 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, you got 5 or 6 powerful, and here's what happened. You had story, 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 story of product, and you're cranking these little product testimonials. What are you doing? You're driving the emotion up, and now you're really starting in on what's in it for me. The minute the last product testimonial is done, boom, what do? They intro speaker 3. Now, speaker 3 is the one who has the most significant role. Therefore, if you have that one strong person, or whoever is the strongest, because all of us evolve strength through execution and practice and doing. We become great. You don't have to be great to start, but you got to get started to ever get great. So whoever the strongest is, that takes the position of speaker 3. The advantage is that everything up to this point, a brand new person with very little expertise, but just a little bit of enthusiasm and a greater desire to help people than their fear of speaking in front of people, because you realize it's not about me. Let me get over my selfishness, because fear of sharing a message that could change someone else's life in the front of the room is being selfish. Don't be selfish about yourself. Tell people, connect, be honest, and share with them you're terrified and fearful. They will appreciate that honesty, and then tell them by reading the slide if you have to. They will feel that if your desire to help them is greater than the fear you obviously have, which they have too, then they respect you, they care about you, they love you for it, and they'll really pay attention to what you're saying. But these can be brand new people. Why do we want others doing it than the best person? Because if the best person does this, people are just bored with hearing the same voice for those. It doesn't make them as powerfully impactful. The best person is now the fresh voice, because now you finish with speaker 2. Speaker 3, what's the first thing they do? Of course, they tell their story. Well, here's what happens. It goes up again. You've now literally had 3, 4, but you've had probably 4 or 5 testimonials. You're now looking at potentially story number 10. You're about 20 minutes, 15 minutes into the meeting, 20 minutes into the meeting, and you've had 10 stories. Some are product stories. You've had 4 personal stories about, doTERRA as a whole, but you've had 10 different connection opportunities, and you're 20 minutes into a meeting. You're accelerating through the emotional line, and you're filling in. Now, here's what happens after their story. Great. Here's what they do. They do comp, because this is what we're there for. We're there to talk to people about how they can also change not only their physical health, but their financial health, which can help change their emotional health and their spirit. Everything in their life can change when they can take control financially. They've got more choices. And so that's why you want speaker 3 at this part. So speaker 3 is going to do story first. 2, they're going to go through the comp plan. And now is when the most critical point comes. That's why you want the best available at the front of the room, because now they've become a conductor. Because after they go through the comp plan, and the comp plan is truly what locks down what's in it for me. Okay, I got it. Okay? 3, they do the business stories, testimonials. Okay? Now, the business stories come to the front of the room, and those people are prepped. The business story is the full story. My name, where I'm from, what I do. My name's Curtis Broom. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm actually currently a 9th grade school teacher, and I've got to tell you, I love it. I have a passion. I will never not teach children, because I believe it was why I was here, was to help properly, build and develop the minds of our youth. But I just don't make the kind of money that my wife and my 3 kids, I think, we deserve. And so I knew I needed to find something else that I could do. And the minute I saw doTERRA, I realized there was a way, because even on a part-time basis, though, a couple of months a year I can go full-time, but I had a way that I could do it. And in the last 6 months, what I've been able to do is we've been able to start creating that residual income that we see is going to create boom, boom, boom. And so that's what it is. So everybody tells their story when they come up. So now I've got 3 to 5, depending upon who you've got. The reason we teach hot market, these stories should not be about the people making $80,000 a day. Why? It just blows people out. You're talking to prospects. The most powerful stories are the newest people who were most fearful that they had no ability to do this, were the most uncertain that anything ever positive would happen, and they actually got something done. Somebody who just started last week, and they moved they've moved $3,000 worth of product via hot market in just the last 6 days. I did that in my first 4 hours. The hot market system, and they don't even know what the hot market system is yet. Now, I'll tell you why in just a second. What happens is these stories, this is what really takes it out. These are all the way to the top, bam, 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 because this is where people realize, can I do this? There's nothing wrong with having somebody who's now gone full-time if their story was, I've now been a part of doTERRA and this family, Romy's Rock Stars now for for 2.5 years, and 2.5 years ago I never saw myself being able to do this. But I've now, as of a year ago, I was able to actually retire myself from that and do this full time, and I was able to do that in a year and a half just part-time, no more than 10 or 15 hours a week. My wife and I had to work it together, and we were able to actually really change a 20-year career. And it's not about the money we're making, it's about the people we're helping. And now we see that we can do this and this, but most importantly, we've got a team that's growing, and we've got people approaching what we were able to do, and that's our most exciting part. In other words, it's not the money, it's the things that it does. These stories right here are what crush it. Now you're down up to 12. Now you're literally at 14 to 15 stories in a properly done meeting. You talk about psychological connection. Can I do this? You talk about people being emotionally connected. You've got such a broad, diverse, old and young and highly educated and never finished high school and everything in between. This is where a meeting psychology kicks. Now, here's what happens. This is now the killer stage. If you're really going to, you may have to go through and look at your presentation, look at modifying your meeting style a little bit, and just do this within your own groups or within the group, and Romy can help guide and lead you through this. One of the best ways to really crush it in a meeting is do this. During the comp plan, have certain components. For example, the hot market system. Have certain things that you refer to. For example, we have a variety of packages you can start with, or whatever it may be. Remember, it's not necessarily, our philosophy, it's not where you start, it's where you end up. And so no matter where you start, whatever you believe is best for you, the objective should be to get to the most significant position as rapidly as possible. And we actually have a system. We have an actual proven system that we have people from 18 to 80 and everybody in between, because it has nothing to do with background or experience. You need no experience, where literally in their first 24 to 72 hours, they can move, their entire kit, or a significant, or we have people moving X who have moved X amount in just a couple of hours. Now, I'm going to talk more about that later, but just know that however you choose to start, we have systems that put people into accelerated profit success, and it's called our hot market system. We'll talk about that later. Sometimes during the comp plan, you create what are called references, and the later reference for the best speaker is a great thing. It's what's called an open loop. In somebody's mind, I've opened something and I've not closed it. So I've not completed the circle. So a couple of things you always want to look at your presentation and say, I'm going to mention that later. I'm going to talk about that later. But they're always, the way you talk about it, it's like, imagine a child with a lollipop. They really, 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 really want it, so you pull it out and let them. They go lick, and you go, okay, I'll give you the rest later. And they're like, okay. So that's what that is. If you do it this way, here's the key. Now speaker number 3 closes the first part of the meeting, and they close it this way. Listen, I want to thank everybody. By the way, the testimonials are done. All the testimonials stay on the stage or stay at the front until they're all done. Then all at once, the speaker thanks all of them, says, let's give them all a great hand, and then they move out through the center all the way to the back of the room. Don't just scatter like weird flocks of birds, and it's just distraction. Everybody goes right down the center, get to the back of the room, get out of the way as fast as possible, because now it's critical. And when the speaker goes to the close, what they're doing is they're saying, listen, we hope you've had an opportunity to get those 3 questions we know everybody has answered. This is the conclusion of the primary presentation. Now we're going to take a 10-minute break. The reason is, if anybody has any outstanding questions, as we said, we want you to get those answered. The person who invited you most likely will be able to answer that. If not, and if they're new or something, not a problem. We are all here to help get your questions answered. Just let us know. Now what we are going to do is, after about 10 minutes though, for those who can stay, everybody's invited. But if you're not able to stay, again, please just get back to the person who invited you, get your questions answered. We look forward, or would love to have you be a part of our doTERRA family. However, in 10 minutes, we're going to come back for just a few minutes. It's what we call our quick start. It takes no more than 15 minutes. Actually, maybe more, about 10 to 12 minutes. And literally, in just 10 or 12 minutes, we're going to, for those who would like to stay, we're going to show you exactly some of those things I mentioned earlier, like hot market system and the other thing. We're going to show you exactly what it is, step by step, that we teach brand new people when they join our team, that is the reason why so many of them are moving so rapidly into immediate success and profit with no previous experience, and even on a very part-time basis. So for those who would like to stay, please, you're welcome to do so. Let's take a quick 10-minute break. Everybody watch your watches. Okay, great. Thanks so much. What you've just done is the meeting is really ending out here. They just don't know it. It creates that break. We get a little bit of movement. And what I basically just said in 10 minutes, we're going to show you the meaning of life and the secrets of the universe. You don't have to stay if you don't want to, but everybody's welcome back. What you will find is at the end of 10 minutes, everybody is sitting there, or monstrously high percentage of them are sitting there. If you've done a quick, efficient meeting with all these stories, people are so connected, and you just told them you're going to show them why, with no experience and very little time and part-time people and all this stuff, are having such great success and in profit. After all this, they're going to be sitting there. The speaker then opens the last little 15-minute quick start session with, wow, looks like everybody stayed. Well, it must be a popular room tonight. Here's what happens. This has been, up to this point, a presentation. Now, it's got a lot of stories in it, and so that creates connection, but it still had that presentation feel. When you go past the break, here in the last part, this is done as a conversation. And this is where, that's the reason you have the best available go through it. When everybody comes back, now it's like, look, the formal meeting's done. This is where you could pull out a whiteboard if you want. If you want to have a couple of slides, that's fine. But it goes from presenting the information. Now, in our compensation plan, we have 12 forms of compensation. We have retail profit, and I've done all that. Let me have you hear from other people. Thank you very much. Let's take your break. When you come back, this is when you come back, Speaker 3 says, wow, everybody's here. Well, listen, thanks so much for sticking around. Now, this is really the most fun part of the meeting for me, because this is where we can really show you. We felt it's important. There's a lot of basic information we need to make sure you have, because we want you to be able to make the right decision for you, whatever that is. But now we want to show you how we really, truly help brand new people get started so quickly, how we really take them by the hand. And you can hear it in my voice. I'm now talking like I'm sitting on the sofa or across the kitchen table with my best friend. Because now I've been here long enough. Because we had other people start the meeting, you weren't bored with me. Because most of my thing was powerful stories. You're connected, and now when I come back, I'm here to have a conversation. We have a program and a model and an action plan that we execute with our team called the Hot Market System, and here's how it works. Boom, boom, boom. It's very simple. It is scripted. It's word by word. It's where people, boom, and you can just show some examples. And whatever are the touch points you want to save till later, so if there are some real wonderful, magnificent, it works every time, killer parts of the comp plan part of the presentation, that you can figure out a couple of them. Just the purpose of a quick start, it's not that it's that now we're best friends. And now we're in a very comfortable way. I can say things like, look, the reality is network marketing and doTERRA are probably not for everybody. Now, we think our products are for everybody. Because if you listen to some of our trainings back on Hot Market, remember one of the things we said, one of the things on the third question, you have a plan, no, would you like to see one? It's probably not for you. Why? Because it's probably not for them. Only 2 or 3 out of 10 should say yes. And so, the old thing we ran through of Bill Britt, one of the largest multi-gazillionaires in the history of network marketing, number 2 only behind Dexter Yeager and Amway. As he said in his career, he personally showed the plan over his years to 1,200 people. 900 said no, 300 said yes. That's 2.5 out of 10 who saw the whole plan said yes, because it's not for most people. So I have no problem in the conversation saying, doTERRA and network marketing and even doTERRA may not be for everybody, though we think our products are for everybody. From the product stories, as you know, it's just changing people's lives, and we'd love to do that for you. But we want you to truly understand why we're able to create such great teamwork and success on the team. It's that tone. All it is an opportunity to connect that more closely, give them anything here. It can be Hot Market only. The quick start can be 7 minutes. It's the power of this connection that makes it real, that will take their emotion even higher, not because of what you're saying, it's because of how you're saying it. And that's why you take the best person who can present. They can coordinate testimonials, so if somebody gets up there with a microphone and somehow starts to go off on the Gettysburg Address is pretty short, they start to go off on War and Peace, they can properly and effectively get in and get control, because during these testimonials, you teach people. If the person screwed up during the comp plan, you do not fix it. If somebody missed something critical on a product, you do not go back. You get up here, you stand up, who you are, where you're from, those 4 things, get done, get out of the way. If it's more than 90 seconds, we are going to throw a tomato at you. It's boom, 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 boom. That way this person can control that, take them to the break, bring them back, get on the sofa with them, create that connected feel, and say, so Now you can see why so many people are so excited to be a part of the team, because even with no experience, even if you're very part-time, only 5 to 8 hours a week or something to get started, we can help you move into success quickly, and over time, as you've seen, you can choose where you want to go in life, and we'll help you get there. So thanks so much. Just decide what you think is the best way for you to get started, and we welcome you to the doTERRA family. It's literally that final conversation. Now that you've seen, so it's the close, and then it's they come back, it's the 10 or 15-minute MQS, 15-minute quick start. That's the killer. This whole thing was done to create all these stories, so these final stories, and then that, what feels like a really comfortable, personal, non-threatening, no pushing, non-selling, just simple sharing conversation, that's what then gets people to go, wow, these are good folks and I like this. That's where you get your best result. Now that you've seen the structure, and Rami, I know you're on mute, but you cannot, does this make sense? Yeah. It's all it is, if you think about it, industry and company, product and comp plan. They're just the facts I need to have, because to go through an entire 45 minutes of just stories would probably kill them too. But the only reason I wanted everybody to show up was to hear 14 to 15 stories. That's why you have a local meeting. I want to locally build a foundation. Why? Then everybody goes home. Why is it at least a once-a-week meeting? Because everybody goes home, and the next 6 days, they're doing hangouts and webinars, and they're talking to people on conference calls, and they're doing it virtually. Why do you get together locally? Because if you get together locally, you get somebody excited in another city because you did it on a hangout or a conference call or a webinar. You've got a methodology you can teach them, so when they do talk to a few of their hot market and then a few of their local warm market, say, listen, while you all decide to do everything online via hangout and webinar and conference call, how about you start your own little local meeting? And what happens is you will proliferate a massive number of local meetings. Then these lead into Super Saturdays, which we'll cover then next week. But we realized we needed to see this psychology. This is why Amway, Nu Skin, Herbalife, you're looking at why they are as gigantic as they are. When the online technologies, when technology became powerful enough 10, 15 years ago, 10, 12, 14 years ago, when it became strong enough, human beings by nature want to have the microwave approach to everything in life. Let me, push a button. There you go, lost weight. Push a button. Okay, I'm healthier. Push a button. Okay, the wrinkles are gone. I just want to push a button. The problem was people said, oh, wow, with this technology, I don't have to go to a meeting anymore. I could do it from home. And if you will take a look, the biggest, gigantic, rock-solid, have continued to grow companies have never, ever stopped doing local meetings. The people who said, oh, our company's cool, you don't have to do a meeting. Where are they? None of them have sustained, not one. Why? Network marketing is about marketing to your network. Network marketing is about leadership development. You don't develop leadership in a vacuum by yourself in front of a computer screen. You develop leadership when you are in the presence of leadership. And you develop leadership when you're in the presence of a team, because it is being around all those people and those stories. It is us helping each other be better. There are things we can do 5 or 6 days a week where we don't have to do. In the old days, you had to have, you had Tuesday meetings, sometimes Wednesday meetings, and some companies would, here's the meeting on Monday nights, here's the meeting on Tuesday nights, and Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights, and then here's Saturday, because that was the only way they did it. So that was exhausting. The power of a weekly meeting, it's almost less for the guest than it is for the evolving, emerging team to build that camaraderie, to learn and to grow. To not have a meeting done by the same boring person, and they're not boring, they can be exciting, but if I see the same exciting person every single week, eventually it gets boring and nobody goes. By rotating all these people and having all these different testimonials, it's interesting for me. And I've been there 38 times in the last 38 weeks because I never miss a meeting because it's event to event. So that's the meeting psychology. Now step back for 1 second as we wrap up and think about doing a one-on-one presentation with someone at Starbucks. Using this mentality. Well, what's the only thing missing? Well, you're probably going to be the only presenter. What that means is out of 15 stories, you're probably not going to have the speaker 1, 2, and 3 because you're hosting and you're all of them. So you do have your story. maybe in your presentation, do you have those testimonial slides that you put together within your team or you got in the company that has a slide that has a thumbnail picture and this amazing quote and another thumbnail picture and an amazing quote, and I've got 4 or 5 different product quick quotes with another slide that I can flip them to that shows another few faces and a little few quick quotes of people's product, extraordinary product result experience real fast, bing, bing, bing. And then when I get to the comp plan part, do I have 3 or 4, let me tell you what's happened to me, but 3 or 4, by the way, these are people on my team, and those don't have to look like polished, perfect, professional, perfected. It looks like somebody took a picture of themselves with their iPhone because these are real people. The PowerPoint is the polished, perfect doTERRA. This is our corporate image, but the testimonials are real people right there with real photos, sitting there with their dog and grab their iPhone, and you tell your team, let's do this, gang. Let's all take some pictures with our dog and the oil you love the most, and let's do that. And do you realize maybe I could really quickly change my little personal presentation thing, or if I'm doing my home meeting and it's just me and one other person, because I realize if I can insert these stories, the impact will be greater. If I'm doing a webinar, I need to, if I don't have people who are coming on live on the webinar, maybe I need to make sure I've got slides to show of the stories, because anything that is more story of you actual people getting a result is better. So this theory can be applied in every mechanism. In a conference call, even if it's quick, are you realizing that a conference call should say, listen, we've got wonderful products, rather than going through those in detail? You know, maybe your conference call presentation, you don't talk about all the products. You say, listen, we've got all that information on the website. The person who invited you will refer you to it, and it's a 30-second or a 45-second. Our products are scientifically researched and developed and proven over 12, 15, 18, 2 years to do bing, 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 bing. More information on the website, but let me let you hear from some people. Boom. Because the conference call, you realize I only needed to talk about the industry and the company minimally for 30 or 45 seconds so that I could talk about the product for 30 or 45 seconds, so I could go boom, 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 boom with product stories on a conference call, pow, 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 and those people are ready to go, and they all know they've got 30 seconds, and it's the next 4 minutes is 8 powerhouse 30-second, or next 3 minutes is 10 powerhouse 15-second, bam, 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 bam. So that then when I talk about the comp plan briefly, because the whole comp plan videos and tutorials are online, but it's a plan that does this, 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 and this, and I do that for 1 minute, and let you hear from people right now who have experienced the results of being a part of it. Does it make you rethink? Now, you may be doing things that way, and that's great. If not, though, look at this theory, because this is the foundation of our industry, our profession. This is where the giants began 70 years ago. This is human nature and human behavior, and it will never change. Using this behavior model in a local meeting, but applying it to everything else you do, and your results will go through the roof. So there you go. That's kind of what we wanted to share with you. Now you guys can go back through this and think about it and start deploying that in your teams.
I think that was fantastic. That really, that's the missing piece of the puzzle for me. It was like, wow, I have so much more confidence in going forward, because we've been really realizing and wanting to do more local events and all of that, and just trying to wrap my head around doing that, because basically it's education classes, and as you know, I built my business just through social media, knowing full well that the classes and the events and all of that are very important, but just trying to wrap my head around, okay, so how do I make this all work together?
Well, let me share a story with you that'll be good for you, since after all, we're about stories. We've also been helping a client company in Norway, and last month we've been over there. And they've got a lot of people who have migrated, and they've done a really good job like you. They've done a good job introducing people through social media, but they kind of reached a little bit of a stagnation point, and they said, we used to do a lot of local meetings, and then what happened was we were going to do, this happened mid-tour. We'd been through 3 or 4 cities, and we were going to one city, and this young guy, he's 22, 23, just out of university, a young guy, picked us up. We flew into that. It was in Amsterdam. No, it was in Stavanger, Norway. And we flew into Stavanger with the CEO and ourselves. And we met with Patrick, and he said, I'd really like, I just want to, if I can pick you guys up in the afternoon when you fly up from the airport, I'd just like to, get a couple things. And, when people are trying to learn, You say, sure. It's the squeaky wheel. So we will lead anybody who wants, but when people ask, you always go because they're showing extra effort. They actually, they actually said, no, they told the top leader there, they said, no, I'm going to go pick them up. So the 22-year-old shows up, and we started asking some questions, said, well, what about how often are your local meetings? Because we had thought, even Frank, the CEO, had thought they were still doing weekly. He said, no, a couple months ago we just went to monthly. And we said, why? He said, well, because they're boring. Nothing's ever happening, just nobody's interested, nobody's excited. It's just the same person here who does it all the time, and it's, I've seen it now for a year, seen the same person doing the same thing, and it's just boring, so we do them once a month because it's less boring. We only have to be bored once a month. And so we said, okay, let me tell you why you need to do weekly meetings. How fast could you do it? Could you do a weekly meeting? He said, well, we could just rent the room every week. We said, okay. So we asked this kid, we said, okay, do you have 3 people on your team? Because and we sat there real quick. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The meeting was supposed to start at 7. And we sat there and we drew this out for him, and he said, okay, because he had become he was the one who was willing to do the meeting occasionally. He'd do it like every 3rd month. And he said, no, I'm going to do this last part, I know who. So he called 3 friends, a girl and 2 guys. We went through it with him. He met with them at 4:30. They asked us if we'd come 30 minutes before the meeting just so they could make sure. They literally took their slides, because we said some of the stuff we'll talk about later. Their step 1 at one part of their slide needed to be the first thing they covered in the quick start. So they actually ran with a set of slides that when they got to the comp plan, the first thing it said was step 2, because they didn't have time to fit. They just had to take step 1 slide and move it. So they grabbed a couple of slides and just deleted. They just moved them from here to there, and they just created a new slide called 15-minute quick start. And so with that kind of lack of time in 4 hours, well, they had, because it was the monthly meeting that was scheduled. Then there were some people there. They went right into week. They were averaging about 25, 30, 35. It's a smaller community. 35 people a meeting, maybe 10 guests. Now in their 4th week or 5th week, last week the meeting was 95 and 35 guests, and that's just in a month. And they say the momentum is terrifying because they followed our lead. He did the first 3 weeks, the speaker 3, because he was the best talented at that time. Every one of the first 3 positions has been different every single week, and now the person who was speaker 2, they did it last night, and he didn't do any of it at all because he's looking at branching into it. He's looking at where his cousin lives. He's actually going to pack up and move over where his cousin is because his cousin wants to start a local meeting. It's all happened in 5 weeks. So you can go from virtual or almost non-existent to tremendous success and impact very rapidly because this just works. There's no guessing, and this is how human nature works. And so there you go. So I understand exactly where you are, and here's what we always used to say. If you want to measure your success and your potential for future wealth, it's in any given day, how many meetings are there around the world that you're not there that are happening in your business exactly the way you did the first one. That's when you create a duplication. It's how many physical meetings. All the virtual is an enhancement. But if you could build a business that then expands the globe where, particularly in Asia and in Europe, they're still very meeting driven, and you go into those areas in South America where eventually how many meetings are happening in your team that you're not a part of and you had nothing to do with setting up or executing, but they're doing it the exact same way that you do it, whenever you do it, that's when you're truly creating that monster residual sustainable lifetime wealth. So.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's gonna. I think it is the duplication part of it because I know I can't be the only one that is kind of missing that.
Sure.
That piece of the puzzle. So
what it becomes the Tuesday night doTERRA team member hangout club fun. It's it's like now that it's fun because it's inclusive and everybody gets to do. We rotate people through registration and this and that. It just becomes the fun thing to do. It's not about let's go to sign everybody up and get rich on Tuesday night. It's like, listen, that's kind of fun. We got our own little local club here. We got one that popped up in Kansas City. We got one over in Chicago. It's just then you can use social media. Then you can use Hangouts. Hey, listen, we're doing a local meeting. By the way, we just Billy's doing one in Chicago. We're just going to say hi. Hey, take a look, gang. And it's a real fun thing. It's once a week. Get together, hang out with some friends. It's like the old Cheers. Everybody meets at Cheers because where they know your name. That's the biggest #1 reason, and then it really can expand in such a way that it really dramatically positively benefits your business. So don't radicalize overnight, but it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, love it, love it. And we have a really good relationship among all of us on the team anyway, so I think this is just going to be a way to solidify that and just make it even stronger.
Well, then you're going to have just a hootin' good time.
Yep.
You will.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Sure. And then next week, what we'll do is next week we'll talk about Super Saturdays and how this dovetails, so that you're going from weekly meeting to once a month a Super Saturday and how that works, and then how you build that out to connect with the corporate regionals and that kind of thing, and then you'll see the whole structure. It gets to be a lot of fun. Then you can really build from event to event to event and create some really fun momentum, having a great time.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. See you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.